Okay. Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome. Welcome to part 2 of how to create your unique passion-based business. My name is Maria Kay, and we've got Daniel on the line. Hi, Dan.
Good afternoon to you all. Good morning if you're listening from the States or Canada.
Exactly. So we're hoping that you've had a beautiful week since we last connected, and we're very excited to be back again. I'm going to hand over to Daniel because he's really beautifully put together just a little recap of what we went over last week so that we can all refresh our memories, and also for anyone who wasn't with us last week and hasn't had a chance to take a look at the recording. So over to you, Dan.
Well, rather embarrassingly, Maria, and obviously this is going to happen with my slightly archaic laptop, my slide has decided to frozen, so do you mind just keep chatting just for the time being?
Sure. That's okay. I'm going to highlight the spelling mistake that I made on the title. So, how to create a passion-based business. I will go in and correct that later on, but I didn't know how to do it this end at this point. So, we're all human, guys. Yeah, it's all good. It's all good. Okay, so I'm going to start by recapping on something that I did with you guys last week, and that was how to spend a little bit of time connecting to your unique why. Because when we have a passion, when we're passionate about something, whatever it might be we're passionate about women's rights, we're passionate about healthy eating, we might be passionate about ensuring that every child has an opportunity to be creative in school. Whatever it might be that you're passionate about, what's really, really useful is when you can connect to why that's important to you. Why you feel so pumped and so passionate about making a difference. So if you were on the call last week, then I had you just sit for a few seconds and jot some things down, okay? So I'm not going to do that today. I'm going to invite you to go back to last week and sit and do that again, because it can sometimes take a little bit of time. Now, whether it's a unique ability that you have, whether it's a skill set, or some products or services that you are really excited about. It might be a network marketing company that's come into your world and that you've fallen in love with the products. Now, in that instance, why is it that you love the products so much? Why is it that you feel that everybody needs to be using them? Really a powerful place to start.
Okay,
So,
Maria, I think I'm up and running my end, if that's okay.
I'll just finish off here, Dan. So set your attention, getting your vision crystal clear, and also clear on what your message is. And then from that point, is once you've created that really strong platform, that really strong foundation, that is the point then that you would then speak to your audience from in all of your communications and all of your correspondence. Okay, Dan, over to you.
Thank you so much. So I'm just going to cover off very quickly what we covered last week, because there was some very powerful stuff. In case you weren't there, we hit some quite salient points. So what we looked at were some of the typical things that held us back from launching our own passion-based business and then building the business and sustaining it and being successful with it. And so some of the pillars that were holding us back were such things as, the type of education, which was very left brain, very discursive, very kind of using the intellect and not necessarily about the soul or the passion that we have, the individual, unique suite of skills or talents we have. Also, we looked at our family and how, perhaps we're brought up in a culture of can't do as opposed to can do. And then the general culture, which seems to be slightly hypnotic and in the sense that we're kind of almost sleepwalking, a lot of us, and we have to all do the same thing. For example, engaging with the corporate world and working within the corporate structures, which can be very damaging to the health. And certainly, from my experience and a lot of people I'm speaking to, that's definitely the case. The second point we looked at was how the very fire of the passion itself is the very fuel that sustains the business and will help us launch. And of course, added in with that was the value of what we're bringing, how that too has its own fuel, and how we can learn to get out of our own way and let the value of what we're doing and the fuel of our passion take us forward into the world. The third thing we looked at was how to clear the fear, which is the very thing that belittles us and that is prohibitive and gets in our way. What we then did this very nice meditation and visualization on the highest, most golden version of ourselves and of our career. So just to meditate on what that looks like, what the highest, most golden, most divine version of this thing looks like, and to sit and let that infiltrate ourselves. Then, of course, we were looking at how to really define our true value in terms of our business. What is it we're actually doing? From how valuable are we to people? What are we actually doing for them? How are we helping people? Because it's not really an egocentric thing. This is how we can help others, and to the extent we can put a degree on that, and to be convinced of our worth in that regard, that is also extremely helpful in pushing us forward. And then the final thing we kind of looked at was, one of the last things we looked at was being really tough on ourselves in terms of setting outcomes and results we want to go for, not just having nice ideas. And yes, it's nice to have a nice idea, but what are you going to do about it? And how are you going to judge yourself? I don't mean that kind of deleteriously, but are you going to put little pegs in the day and say, right, by 5 o'clock I'm going to have sent 10 emails out to some new prospective clients, or I'm going to have had 10 conversations with people about exactly what I do? Because it's only really that way, one of the only concrete ways we can make some stuff happen. So that's a recap of what we covered off in the hour last week, and hopefully my slides are going to be loading well. But back to you, Maria.
They will. Wonderful. Thanks for that, Dan. That really helps to put a crystal clear picture of where we were last week and where we're moving into today. So today, I don't know whose idea it was, but we've decided to give you more of a practical angle on how to bring into fruition what it is that's in your heart and start to have it play out and manifest in your life so that you can sustain a business and the business can sustain you, all while helping people that you are here to help. So as I said earlier on, once you become really clear, and Dan's already recapped on that as well just now, but once you become really clear on what it is you're here to do or what it is you're passionate about, as Dan just mentioned, we then move on to identifying the problem that people are experiencing that you want to help them with. Now that might be supplying them with some organic toothpaste. It might be providing them with some NLP sessions. It could be any different type of service, product, or therapy. And then once you've identified the problem, is then to go in and ask, how can I help? Okay. Further to that, get really clear on the type of person that you want to work with. Because I feel that once we get clear, it can become more discerning, but we also start to send out that vibration, that message to the universe that this is what I'm looking for. So the universe can start to fine-tune what it sends to you. So what type of person do you love to be around? Male, female, what age group? What do they do for a living? What do they do in their spare time? Or perhaps you want to work with animals. Who is it you are most suited to working with, and who are you looking to help? I would say at this point to actually really check in with what's coming up for you. And this is why I say use your meditation time to really connect here. Because it's important to check in, and this is something that Dan just mentioned a little while ago. It's important to check in with what's coming up here, because very often we can veer away from our purpose and our passion and that end vision that we've got. And as I said, we talked about last week turning your unique talents and passions into a thriving business. Now, for me, passion is one of the key ingredients to a thriving business. And I'm pretty sure I'm just paraphrasing what you've already said, Dan, but I think you can't really stress this enough. And it's what will keep you going and ticking over, perhaps when you have the odd low point. Ask yourself as often as you can, why am I doing this? If something comes up, if someone invites you to go and speak somewhere or collaborate, or a customer comes to you or a client comes to you and you're not sure, ask yourself as often as possible and assess if you are still in line with that bigger vision. And it happens to us all. It's happened to me quite a few times where I've gotten so enthusiastic with the sort of the buzz that I've actually had to sort of hold myself back and get into that sort of process of asking quality questions to decipher whether this is really in line with my bigger vision. Okay. So once you're clear on all of those things, setting your intention, creating your vision, your ideal clients or customers, and what problems you're going to be solving and how you will be helping those people, you then need to start to build your own community. And I always say it needs to be a community that you would love to be a part of. Now, this can be done via social media, by Facebook group, or your pages, via your email list, or even face-to-face. And what you need to do is start to invite those people into your world. Your ideal clients, your ideal customers, the people that you would love to hang around with anyway, whether they were paying you or not, start to invite them into your world. And some people actually call it their tribe. And I must admit, I kind of tried that on for size for a little bit, but decided it wasn't for me. And once they are in your world, is to start to provide them with something of value that's connected, that has a real relevance to the problem that you've identified, the gap or the issue or the shortcoming in their life that you've identified that you've got a solution to, is to start to give them content, valuable content, information, insights, wisdom, shortcuts, all in conjunction with that subject. Bits and pieces that will help enhance their life pretty quickly. For example, if you were to give them your top 5 tips, for example, if you're a weight loss coach, top 5 tips to lose weight or start losing weight within 1 month, now that's going to be something that's really valuable to someone who's struggling to lose weight, okay? And your community, your world, if you were to kind of look at it as a garden, in order for a garden to flourish and grow and be sustainable, you first need to cultivate the land, then you plant the seed, and then you need to ensure that the garden has exactly what it needs, all those elements to be able to thrive, and for the growth and the plants and the trees to surround. So you will then need to water and tend to your garden stroke community as often as it is possible for you. Now, there's discussions here as to how often and how frequently you touch base with your world and your community. And I do really feel that that is a very individual thing. Okay, I won't go too deep into it today, but it's something that really is put in with A, your schedule, and B, the whole theme of your world and your community. Okay, how do you even go about getting people into your world? Now, there are many different ways. I'm just going to list a few here. Facebook posts, blogs, so that's a written text, blogs, which is video blogging, free webinars just like this one, or you can go out into the world and provide a service that is very little cost or even free, perhaps give a free talk somewhere, or turn up to a community event and provide free tasters. Whatever it is that ties in with you, give out free samples if it's products that you're passionate about. And by doing that, you are inviting people into your world and saying, look, this is what, and as Dan mentioned a little while ago, that this is what I can offer you, and it's really, really good stuff, okay? Give them your best stuff. Now, often when we feel like we're free stuff away, I feel like perhaps we need to hold back. Well, if I give them all in one go, they'll never pay for my products or services. They won't need to. That's really not the deal. It's really not the truth. It really is about nurturing, being of value, being a service. When it comes to your sharings, one thing to be mindful of, though, is what you're sharing in terms of how many, look what I had for dinner pictures popping on there. How many, you know, look how amazing my puppy is today. And although there's an element of being real with your followers, audience, world, community, tribe members, whatever label you want to put on there, there's also an element of being mindful of how much that's really going to help them. We do live in a fly-on-the-wall reality sort of TV show culture right now, and a lot of us can criticize or put it down or, you know, belittle it. But I think what we can bear in mind as we step more into, you know, the public eye is that people value someone who's genuine. Now, this taken me a long while, I'll have to be really honest, to find that comfortable grounding where I know that what I share, you know, I'm not sharing, if I've had a run-in with someone, for example, that I'm not broadcasting that out to my world. But on the other hand, if I have had a little blip in my journey, or, you know, something has come up for me that I feel others could learn from, is to actually feel okay with sharing that. So it is very much what's going to be comfortable for you, and that comes just with putting it out there and giving it a try. Okay, people love to know how you did it. They love to know just how you moved through the density. They like to know that you've done them, right? I talked about an email list a few seconds ago. So I've worked with coaches over the years, and if I had a penny for the amount of times they told me and continue to speak about how important your email list is, I'd be, you know, I probably wouldn't be. So although there's a bit of a science behind the whole email list thing, which I'm not going to go into today, one thing I will talk about is how, and this has been true for me, having and growing an email list where you can sort of connect with your people, speak to them, share your products, your services with them, and share your experiences as well as you continue to grow and evolve. It is a really safe space. Safe because one thing they do say is that social media at the end of the day can be pulled at any time. Okay? Further to that, there's so much noise on social media today. I don't know about you, but I log on and I've got sort of tons and tons of notifications, and sometimes things do really pass you by, things that you would really have wanted to be a part of, but perhaps you miss because there's so much buzz and noise going on. So your email list is where the value lies, okay? How do you get people on your email list? Well, you can add them manually, and if this is what you're doing right now, it's okay. I've been there, and there's nothing wrong with it. But the most professional and efficient way, really, is having them opt in from an opt-in box. Okay, this is a box on either your website or a landing page where people go in voluntarily and add their name and their email address. And that's really all you need. All right, there's no need for anything further like telephone numbers or addresses, because that can really put people off. Now, I'm not going to go into how to set that up today, because that's the whole webinar in itself. But it's something to start thinking about. It's a really beautiful way to invite people into your world, but really what we want to do is give them something in return. All right, so that's where creating a free gift is going to be really valuable. Now, for each and every one of you, it's going to be something different. If you're a therapist, if you work with NLP, for example, it might be a short ebook or an article. If you have the ability to record meditations, it could be a meditation. If, for example, you are passionate about products and you've got beautiful products to share with the world, then it might be a free sample or a free gift. That's very individual, and it's got to really sort of come from something very specific that's answering that or filling in that problem or that gap, as I said earlier on. What I'm going to do for you guys today is, on my website I've got quite a few different ones that speak to different people in different areas and different issues and problems. So underneath this webinar, I've included the links for you to click on and go ahead and opt in. Opt into the one that feels good for you. And what that will do is that will give you an idea of how I've put mine together. One of them is a 7-day guide to a weight loss mindset, and it's free, obviously. I've also got webinars and talks. I think I've also got a quiz in there as well. So all those different gifts speak to different kinds of people and different types of people, and also people who will have different issues. So I've popped those links in there. Go and explore, investigate, opt in. You can always opt out, once you've got what you needed. There's always that option. So then, once you have them in your world, and they're feeling really amazing and inspired and uplifted and comfortable, they will start to get to know you, the real you, what you do and how exactly you can help them. And also vice versa, you'll start to get to know them. Okay? Because as you communicate via your emails, you'll be asking for feedback. You'll be inviting them to hit reply and give you feedback and get involved in the ongoing conversation. Now that, for me, is the beauty of what we do. We have constant communication and constant dialogue with beautiful people that we've welcomed into our world. So once all that's in place, this is when the juicy parts start. You can now nurture the relationship deeper. And it can start to become reciprocal. Giving them a load of free content, which is done willingly and from the heart. And then if it feels right for you, the client-buyer relationship will start to kick in, basically. And you can start to receive the right kind of energy in the form of money for the services that you've so far offered, but then to take it to the next level. So you can really start to help them, whether it's for one-on-one sessions or whether it's classes that you're running, whatever it might be for you. Now, I'm going to speak from the standpoint that most of you are operating on a time for money basis. So you'll get a booking or you'll sell a product and it'll be a once-off transaction until the person then decides to have another therapy session with you, or buy another bottle of shampoo from you, or come to another dance class to you, whatever it is for you. So I'm going to speak from this premise and invite you to start thinking a little bit differently. And the reason we start to think a little bit differently is so that we can avoid the feast and famine phenomena that so many of you, included in the past, have experienced, where we are exchanging time for money. Sooner or later you're going to experience a dry spell or a quiet spell at different points in the year. When I used to work in the health industry and I used to deliver Pilates classes and different kinds of dance classes, there were sort of 2 or 3 key parts of the year where I knew things were going to go down. And I started to get to know that once I was well into the industry, but there wasn't much else I could do unless I started to create programs that would start to bring in recurring income. And this is what I want to talk to you guys about today, to start to think about ways that you can do that. So when a client comes into your world and says, yes, I want to give you money, that you actually, and this is really simply so that everything remains on a really beautiful energetic, in a beautiful energetic space. Okay, so that you can give them your best self. If you're not worrying about where the next client's going to come, and you're not worrying about how you're going to draw more clients in, you can really focus on helping the people that are in your world fully and in depth and to the best of your capacity to help with their transformation or their process, whatever they've come for you for. So this is where creating a series of packages or programs where you couple a few services together. Again, I can't go into it too much because I need to hand over to Dan in a second in this webinar, but that's something for you guys to think about. To create a program or a course or a package that's attractive to your clients and consumers and that's going to be useful to them. So, you know, make sure that everything that you've put together is something that they've come to you and asked for in the first place. If they've come to you for NLP, then they're not very likely to want to, you know, buy some shampoo from you. So put things together that are valuable, that kind of gel and work well together. And make it attractive for them. Make it easy for them to say yes to. You know, if they're buying one NLP session, then give them some money off, give them a discount if they buy 6 that they can use throughout the year. Again, these are just examples. It is very unique to each person. And this will ensure that you get recurring income. And what that will do is free up a load of your headspace, a load of your energy so that you can continue to create beautiful things within your business. If any of you would like to speak to me on a deeper level, I will still offer today a free discovery session for you guys. So I can help you with the sort of more detailed parts of what I've talked about just now, because it can sometimes be a bit daunting and I don't want to kind of leave you hanging. And although we can't do it all in this session, I'm more than happy to connect with you later on today, or I've got some time in the morning to connect with you and give you a bit of a leg up and see how you can start to progress and start thriving. Now I'm going to hand back over to Dan. Are you there, Dan?
Indeed, yeah. That was there's a lot of good stuff in there. Before we go on, because I want to make sure you guys are still there and listening. Maria, is there someone the people joining this are able to send us their questions or answers?
Yes. We've got Facebook page open. You can either go to the event page, or if you were a part of last week's event page, there's a message thread set up, and post your messages there, either in the event page, part 2 of how to create a passion-based business, or even post it on mine or Daniel's walls Actually, no, post it on mine because you haven't got access right now, have you, Dan? So either in private message and you can, if you want it to be anonymous, please state that, and we will make sure we keep your identity private. So yeah, we'd love to answer your questions.
Well, actually, I've got some questions for them. So you can either send them to Maria or just have a pen and paper there, because I want to make sure you're still listening, but that you're engaged with us. Now, first of all, just let us know where you're listening from, whereabouts in the world you're at the moment. Anything coming through there, Maria?
Not yet, no.
Okay, fine. All right, so the questions I have for you guys. First of all, what are your passion-based businesses? What is it you are here to do? Second question is, what is it you want with the business? I.e., what do you want to achieve with it? And just really sink into the heart and the body when you're answering this. I don't want an intellectual response or an abstract response. Really sink into how you feel, into the body, into the heart, and answer from there. What impact would you like the business to have on the world, on people, and on yourself? Is this business local? Is it national? Or is it international? And the final question is, there's kind of two questions. Where do you really want to go with it? I.e., what is the highest, grandest vision for it? So just sit with that question for a little while. Just sit in the heart, in the body, feel how that question feels, and just wait for the response. The response will be given by your higher self. So just sit in the question, what is the highest, grandest vision for your business? Any responses yet, Maria?
I've had a response from a lady saying she's in Worcester.
Okay.
Yeah.
We've got a global audience. That's wonderful.
First question. Yeah. Hi, Taria. I know she won't mind me saying hi.
Yeah. Hi, Taria. Okay. So the purpose of this exercise really is to show you how powerful quality questions are. Not only when you're working with someone else, with a client, or as me and Mira both do these discovery sessions, but actually when you're trying to work these things out for yourself. Now, the reason for that, the reason questions are so very powerful, is that the mind likes two things. First of all, it loves working towards a goal. So when I used to be in corporate sales, and if we were given a goal of, let's say, £250,000 to strive for on a conference within 2.5 months, we would, for some reason, your mind is able to break that down and work out exactly how you're going to be able to do that. So it's this whole tenet of beginning with the end in mind. Okay, so I need £250,000 by fourth of the way through the year. How am I going to do that? How are we going to do that? So the mind then loves a goal. It's naturally programmed to work towards a goal, but it also loves answering questions. It cannot escape. It can't not answer the question. So if you ask yourself a question, you'll work this out. There's no hiding place. You'll have to come up with an answer. So another set of very, very valuable questions you can ask yourself is, what is it you truly want? What do you really want? Where can you really see yourself going with this business? Who are you really going to be helping? Importantly as well, what are you going to be doing to the vibration of yourself and the planet? Another very exciting question that someone asked me, or rather I think it came to me the other day, was where do I really see myself doing this? I've been the, the bulk of my career has been about doing one-on-one sessions with clients. I'm now moving into this kind of webinar presentation stuff, and then sooner or later workshops. But if I'm totally honest, I want to have an extremely exciting lifestyle. So I want to be traveling around the world, giving these wonderful talks and valuable workshops to global audiences in wonderful resorts. Why wouldn't I? It's nice to be imparting valuable information, but what better than to do it within some wonderful scenery? So paint really compelling pictures and features for yourself. If that feels inspired to you, if that's what you truly want, if you can see these people having these international lifestyles, doing these things around the world, then that's a compelling future. Another interesting question, and one where I would be able to help you, is what's holding you back? What's truly holding you back? Is it fear? Is it old programming? Do you have just too much conditioning, do you think, that's disallowing you from truly seeing your own value? Do you have negative voices, which perhaps are your parents? Do you speak to yourself in a tough way? Are you quite hard on yourself? Again, often when we call ourselves an idiot, or come on you idiot, that's typically not us. It's typically the voices of our parents. So look into what it is that's holding you back. I've been looking into this quite a lot. We talk about universal laws like law of attraction, law of manifestation. A very interesting law that I was reading about the other day was the law of deservedness. So what do you deserve? What do you feel you deserve in your life? Because the universe is very good at giving you what you think you deserve. If you think of the universe as simply reflecting back at you your inner universe, as it were, your inner world, then we start to become more and more responsible for how we are, how we feel, what kind of thoughts we entertain. I was speaking to someone today that is a client of mine who's had a very broken down relationship with her mother. Had a very, very difficult life. The mother left her at a very, very young age, about 2 or 3, and seemed to have no interest in bringing her up at all. And of course, these wounds run very deep. I had a conversation with her about a month ago because she was due to be meeting up with her mum at a wedding, at a brother's wedding. Now, she was very nervous about this because her mother had always been very hostile towards her. And I gave the example of my own life where I was working at this company back in 2011, and I just started, and the first 3 months were just horrific because my boss, just whatever I did, just didn't like me. And I'd never really had this problem before. I consider myself quite jovial. I get on with most people. And I was working in sales, and there's probably about 12 people in the sales team. And as with normal sales desks, it's all about the banter and the humour and kind of a bit of gallows humour now and again and what have you. But everything I said, he just seemed to scowl at me. So I thought, okay, fair enough, that's not working. The whole polite, humorous thing's not working. So I'll get my head down and start getting some deals in. So I got loads of deals in for him. I really kind of injected a lot of firepower into this dying conference I was working on, and got this event making a lot more money. And yeah, I kind of partially worked, but still he just really down on me. So I thought, okay, that's not worked either. I try to be funny, that's not working. Try to be kind of cute or sweet, no. Trying to work hard, that's not working either. So then, in a sales meeting, I started pushing back at him. He was being, not great towards me. So I thought I'd just mirror that back at him and just not be very nice back to him. And and then he took me out of the meeting, and that didn't work either. He's like, "What's wrong with you? Are you bored? Are you stressed?" And so there's 4 ego strategies that just did not work. So that evening, I sat on the end of my bed, just kind of edge of my bed, just kind of thinking, what is it I have to to do with this guy, and suddenly this idea drops into my head about just sending him, just feeling love towards him. I just had this idea. I don't know where it came from, of just seeing him as a brother. You know, I just had so much love for him in my heart. Which I know it sounds really corny, but that's how it felt. I had no fear, just absolute love towards the guy, and I don't know where it came from. Anyway, the next morning, he completely changed. He's like, "Hey Dan, yeah, how are you doing? Really good to see you." And then from that moment on, the whole relationship changed. So it just goes to show that the world is a reflection of your own inner state. So if you don't see your career really getting anywhere, congratulations. You know, you're a powerful creator. That will happen in the world, 100%. Do you see yourself talking to loads of audiences? Do you see yourself helping a ton of people? Do you really want to get out there? Again, that will be reflected in the universe. So this whole thing of you know, the law of deservedness, the law of deserving. So yeah, I think that's an important point as well. That's kind of all I've got really. There's a couple of other things actually. Again, my computer's freezing up, which is great. Yeah, and so it's about the average vibrational level. So what is the average vibrational level of how you feel about yourself and about your career? Okay. Are you really attracting the best, or do you have a healthy self-saboteur? Again, this is something that is one of my specialities. I'm very good at helping people kind of heal all the old programming that will kind of involve, for example, a self-saboteur. Another thing that happened to me on quite recently. Again, this is the wrong slide. This is this is the tail wagging the dog, unfortunately, with my machine and my technology. Something amazing happened to me on Sunday. Some of you would have read about this already on Facebook. I was at a 3-day, really intensive, very beautiful workshop, just looking at spiritual deepening. We'd had 3 days, and this was the Sunday, and I was locked out of the venue. I'd had to kind of leave the venue to use a bathroom in a local coffee shop. And I came back, and because it was Sunday, no one was manning the reception. So I was buzzing, and no one was there. And I must have been out there probably only about 7 minutes, 10 minutes, but it was such a good workshop. I didn't want to miss the last part of it. It's the last hour. So I sat there thinking, okay, well, what can I do? I thought I'd pray. So I prayed to God. I said, dear God, or dear Heavenly Father, please can you send someone to let me in? And I checked in my body, and there was disbelief that it was going to happen. There's a block of fear and disbelief, and just like, that's not going to happen. So I thought, okay, that's not great. That's surely not going to work. So then I prayed as if it already happened. So I said, dear Heavenly Father, thank you for bringing someone to let me in, and I cleared all the disbelief and you know, any kind of negative feeling I had, and just kind of held a position of high love, as it were. And then at the moment of asking, someone came around the corner and let me in. So what that's showing is, and Maria talks about this a lot in a lot of her work, is, you know, it's the place of miracles. When you're in the position of generic love, not specific love, not love towards anyone or anything in particular, because as you know, that's a conditional love. That can be seen as a transient love. I'm talking about this universal spiritual love that comes from that high heart, the spiritual heart within. When you're in that place, when you inhabit that place, your ripple effect is extremely powerful, like a transmitter, like a communications tower. You're sending out the impulses, the pulses of generic love, and you know, that's where miracles occur. And that's an extremely powerful position to be in. And you know, and you will have fear and doubts, fears and doubts, and that's part of being a human being, unfortunately. But we're on this evolutionary path to being the more divine self, the more divine human, as it were. So every time we have a niggle or a fear, just flick it back up into love, just using the in-breath. It's very, very easy. It's very easy to maintain these high states of love. It's something we just haven't done or haven't got used to. And so whenever we have something that hampers our vision, ask yourself honestly, are you being pulled towards that which you love and want, or are you being pulled back towards what you don't want? The stasis you've been in, this whole static inertia you've been in. Do you want more of that, or do you want to just get back up into engaging with your vision? We spoke last week about having a vision, and I spoke to a couple of you afterwards during our free discovery sessions about what is your golden vision, what is the highest vision here, what is it you truly want. So always engage with that rather than what you don't want. And that leads on to the final point here. We're all programmed, we're all conditioned in particular ways, not all of which are great programs, and many of us still have these old programs running in us that really inhibit our journey. So if that's true for you, be honest about that, and perhaps send me a quick email, and we can perhaps look at how we can release some of that. Just a final point for me, really, and Maria's covered a lot of this in a really very, very kind of mellifluous way, and it is just some of the practical things. So all we really mean by the practicalities are, look, you've got the gift, or you've got the passion, or you've got an exceptional product or solution or service. It's a very simple thing. How do we then make it well known? How do we make you well known? How do we make you the go-to person in your industry, in your locality? Now, for me, because I really love writing, and I think I write pretty lucidly, let's say, because a lot of what I do is complicated if you're new to it. So that a lot of this kind of regressive healing and healing of childhood wounds, it can seem a bit kind of esoteric. So all I want when I'm writing is to just make it very clear, and I want people to think, oh my God, that's possible for me as well. So when you're writing, it's just how do we expose your expertise? Because what's a massive turn off people, and this is something that we spoke about a lot in my previous industry, and when I used to work in the conference world. When we put on these international conferences, people want to be seen as a thought leader. So when people gave a plenary or keynote presentation, they wanted to be seen as the thought leader in their field. So even though they were selling something, they were one of our commercial sponsors. If they were giving a plenary presentation or keynote, there would be less about the sales aspect to it. So they're not pushing anything, but they're just displaying their expertise. And by virtue of that, people are like, wow, this guy knows this guy knows an awful lot. How do I speak more with him? So it's really kind of displaying your expertise in the way you think is right. So of course, website writing. Not going to go into too much detail because Maria has it already. And I just want to make a point here as well. It doesn't all have to be perfect all at once. The other thing that the ego mind will do is make you feel rubbish if you're not doing it perfectly. It's the self-saboteur thing again. It's ridiculous. Just learn as you go. Like Maria collectively, we've been doing this for, I don't know, a decade or so. I've been doing this not even 2 years. So, but it took me many years of thinking about it. It's an organic process. Learn as you go. It doesn't have to all be perfect at once. And if you're scared about setting up a YouTube channel, great. Be scared. Who cares? Just do it anyway. It doesn't matter. Just be prepared for a tiny bit of discomfort. I remember reading this book about this guy who seemed to excel at dating and chatting up beautiful women. He goes, and he did extremely well at it. And the biggest thing that he learned was, look, going up to a very good-looking person is uncomfortable by its nature because of what's at stake kind of thing. But just to look at it like you've got a tiny stone in your shoe, just walk through it. It doesn't matter. As Maria said, it's about offering free, high-value content. So to be seen and known as the go-to person in your field. Spoke about last week as well the whole 10% inspiration and 90% perspiration. I don't think you need to really sweat, but you know, as soon as you get a great idea, don't just go, oh, that's a nice idea. Do something about it. You know, it's also the enjoyment of being inspired and then carrying it out. Again, Maria very eloquently was discussing this. You know, what problem are you solving, and for who? An old sales trainer of mine would give the example of, like, if you've got an extremely massive headache, and the person next to you or whatever had only one aspirin left, and he wanted it himself, that person with an extremely big headache would pay a lot of money for it, maybe £5, just to get rid of his headache. If he doesn't have a headache, he's not going to buy it. Right, anyway. So, you know, speak sometimes to their problem, or be familiar with the problem set that you're solving. And when you're in these consultations with people, ask them about their problem. You know, ask them what their biggest problem is in and around the solution that you can offer. So, what are your biggest challenges right now? Where do you feel the pain in X, Y, and Z? And then speak to that. And that also should be very clear on your website and in your articles as well. You know, so you're speaking to common issues and common threads. So that's kind of it from my side. I hope I've been clear. I'm aware that my slides were kind of a bit jumpy, but yeah, I hope that the information I've been sharing with you has been of value, and Maria's has definitely been. Yeah, I'd be very happy to take any kind of personal or private questions afterwards. Sure. You guys know what I find.
People your email address now for for any listeners who want to got you an email possibly to.
Yeah. So if you go to Google and
should we pop it in the Facebook event page?
Yeah, just in case people haven't come via that route, I'm thinking. So if they haven't come, excuse me, via the event page, I'll give you my website. So if you go into Google and just type into Google search engine Dan Sainsbury Therapies, you'll be able to, there's a contact form in there. Just fill that out. My details are in there. Just send me a quick email about what you want to discuss, what some of your challenges are, how you want me to help you, and we can take from there.
Okay, fantastic. Lovely. Well, I just wanted to add there was something that you said, Dan, that I wanted to just maybe deepen a little bit, and it was at the point where you talked about how we kind of can catch ourselves and become more aware of ourselves as we possibly go down the route of self-sabotage, in terms of anything that's holding us back. And what I want to, and I agree with you, at the place that I am now on my journey, with all of the therapy and the clearing and the energy work that I've had and been part of myself, that yes, now for me it's easier. Okay, I don't think we never get it done, and we never get it, right. So what I wanted to put in there, just for people to become aware of, and almost to make it okay for them, that if for you, catch yourself as you maybe switch from a path that's moving happily, positively forward to maybe, okay, this one's veering me off to the side a little bit, and it's going to maybe, before I know it, bring me right back to square one. I wanted to kind of, put it out there for you guys that get help with it. You've sort of experienced the same sticking point or the same issue over and over again, and I did before I, said yes, said coach, I want to work with you because I don't want to make those mistakes again, and I want to get there quickly because I want to get out there and enjoy my life and do what I came here to do, which is help people transform and live their highest purpose. Okay, so my point here is to be okay with getting help and having someone to support you. And as Dan beautifully popped in there and mentioned, I think we did talk about it last week, that it's okay to not be perfect now. You are where you are, and that's okay. In fact, I put something on Facebook this week, and the response was phenomenal because it really hit a chord with a lot of people. it was something, the word to the effect of, you are perfect as you are. Right now, in this moment, you're enough. And I want to extend that out to you as well. You're watching live or listening back or watching back to the recording. You are enough now. You don't need to go and get another diploma or study another course or another certificate or add to your huge repertoire or another degree or whatever it is that you tend to do. You're enough now. So jump in. But what I will say is get the help. You know, if it's a book or an online course or a face-to-face coach or someone who's done it before you and succeeded, so you can follow in their footsteps, get some wisdom and guidance from them. Wherever it is you're getting that guidance and support from, say yes to it. Don't do it alone. I think Dan and I both feel that we've kind of gone the squiggly route, you know, and possibly with some, you know, guidance earlier on in the journey. It's all good, it's all how it's supposed to be, but for you guys, you can get there quicker, with less tears, with less blood, with less sweat. So if you are experiencing any, because you'll, for the most part, you'll know what's holding you back. Especially now that you've been spent these couple of hours with us, an hour last week and an hour today, with the questions that Dan's asked you, your awareness has been raised, with the processes that we've taken you on, you start to open up a little bit and become more in tune with what's going on. So if you feel that your blocks are energetic, that they really are internal, and that no amount of text reading, no amount of strategizing is going to get you there, then have a word with one of us. And especially Dan, because I can vouch for what his work does and how quick, short and sharp it really is. If you want guidance with your long-term transitioning from being a little bit apprehensive of jumping in with both feet and getting yourself out there, and also some of the mindset and limiting belief stuff, then have a word with me. We're here for you. We're offering you a free discovery session for 5 minutes. What I'll do is, underneath all of the information, I will make sure I pop both of our email addresses. If you want to get in contact with me now, you can go to any of the links that are underneath your screen, and click on those, and somewhere on my website there's a contact form. So you'll be able to contact me through that. Lots of ways we can all connect. I'm just going to check if we've got any questions. Oh, I tell you what, I wanted to share a story with you guys before we finish. There are no questions, by the way. I think everyone's really deep in concentration today. So after last week, I had a wonderful lady contact me for a discovery session. And we met via Skype and had a wonderful session, brought a lot of things to light, cleared a few things, but also got really clear on what this beautiful lady's next steps would be. And she was very, very interested in joining a group that I've got going, which is starting in, next week, actually, 90 Days to Your Business and Money Miracles. But she said to me, Maria, I don't have the money to pay for this course. And this is not a huge amount of money, but nonetheless, the funds were not there. So I said to her, okay, I want you, this woman's got a long list of skill sets, NLP, long list, I won't even go into them now, but definitely existing skill sets and abilities that could translate within an instant into cash. So I said, my darling, go out and get 2 to 3 clients and let's check back in next week. Okay. And then all of the buts and you know, the limitations came in. But I've got this to do, and I'm not here then, and I'm away, and blah blah blah. So I said, okay, let's look at this difference. So we coached a little bit on it, and then the very next evening, I received a message from her saying, Maria, I thought you'd love to know. One of my NLP clients has signed up for 6 sessions. Okay. Now, the reason I wanted to share that story with you, and as Dan talked about earlier on, about how the mind loves to have, how did you put it, Dan? The mind loves to have a goal.
Yeah, the mind loves a target.
Yeah, a target. So I think that was quite relevant, and in what tying in with what you said as well, that when you have someone rooting for you, backing you up, believing in you, because we're not very good at believing in ourselves at first. Hands up, I was there, and we're not. As human beings, this is what we do. We couple together, we support, and we uplift each other. So by this wonderful woman having all of those things in place, I said to her, I believe you can do it. I don't care about all the whats and buts and ifs and the blocks and the things that you feel are going to stop you, because I know that this world is miraculous. There are no limits to what we can create as human beings. So that was my point there, that if you're sitting there thinking, oh, but this and oh, but that, and I'm this and I'm that, have a chat with either of the two of us. And even just within those 45 minutes, I promise you that something will shift. Even if you decide that that's enough for you, and that that these webinars and that 45-minute chat is enough, things will start to move. I promise. I can guarantee it. Oh, well, how cool has it been hanging out today? Would you like to add anything, Dan?
Yeah, just a very, very final point. It's when you're doing that thing that you've kind of been dreading or putting off, when you're kind of on the edge of, you're moving into your discomfort zone. You're so alive on that edge, and it's where you just kind of make that first step into the so-called unknown. Is when your natural genius is activated. I think it was Da Vinci who said that. When you start moving into the unknown is where all your inner genius comes through. My very first client back in 2010, that's before I became a full-time healer, I remember that I was very, very unwell that day. I had a shocking headache, and I was thinking, my God, because we're always told, oh, you can't heal until you've healed yourself, and I really don't think that's true at all, because no one's perfectly healed anyway. Otherwise, we wouldn't be still in our meat suits, as it were, our bodies. But I had a shocking great headache, and I was thinking, can I really do this? Anyway, and she wasn't. She was actually she was a client that was handed down from this pretty famous hypnotherapist. He was a very well-known hypnotherapist in Harley Street. He just couldn't do anything for her. So I knew him relatively well. I had been a client of his, and I said, look, I'm a healer now. So many people you can't do anything for, and so she had, a fair bit going on. I mean, she had. I won't go into the exact client details, but within about 5 minutes, my headache had completely and utterly vanished because I was so there for her, and all of my skill set that I'd learned was activated. Just because it's not in your conscious mind right now doesn't mean it's not in your unconscious mind, or even your superconscious mind, i.e. where you're inspired, where the miracle zone is. So when you're in that God, what am I doing here? That is where the genius of your memory comes through, and also your inspiration. Spirit comes through. So whatever you're feeling uncomfortable about, believe me, you'll feel so good after doing it. And so I'll leave you with that.
Awesome, thank you. I'm so excited for you guys. As I said at the beginning last week, the fact that you're here listening to this indicates to me that something inside of you has a light switch, basically, or a switch has flipped inside of you, and you've now become aware of this whole different way of operating and living your life. Okay, so the word passion must have drawn you in when you saw it in the same sentence as business. Okay, so my last little offering to you is congratulations, but you've only just begun. And I'm wishing you all huge success and deep happiness as you continue on this path. But I really hope to speak to you face to face, via Skype or telephone, wherever you are in the world. It's always possible. I had the pleasure of meeting one of you guys face to face because we live in the same city last week, so If you're in Worcester, UK, let me know and let's have a coffee. If you're anywhere else in the world, let's do a Skype coffee or a telephone chat. So lots and lots of love. Check out what Daniel and I have to offer, and welcome into our world. Thanks, Daniel.
Thanks, Bria. Thanks, everyone, and I'll speak to you soon. Cheers.
Bye.